Here we go, guys. This is the one I love so much because I love it because we all know the kids that probably have it, yes, except we're not allowed to say anything. We can't go to a parent and say, yo, your kid, I think, has ADHD. You should get him checked out. First of all, if you do that in a public school, if you start to diagnose kids, you could be bye-bye forever. Like if the parent knew and really made a stink about it, you could be gone forever because you can't do that. I can't do that. And I'm in behavior, right? I'm not allowed to diagnose kids. I went in, this boy didn't have ADHD, but he had autism diagnosed after I had seen him. And I knew in 9 minutes. It was like not a typical thing. It wasn't just that we need to work on eye contact. Like it was something much bigger in 9 minutes. And I was supposed to be there 2 hours. I was like, I don't need to waste your money for 2 hours. I know. So the mom came and then I had to look up on my phone. I had to Google like characteristics of autism and then it showed me and I had to use that language. He doesn't use a lot of eye contact. He has a hard time in social situations. Right? Those are the things. She said, so are you telling me my kid has autism? And I was like, I am not saying that, but somebody will. It's not going to be me, but somebody will. So I've seen some kids that probably have ADHD or some sort of it and needs additional help. I can't tell the parents that, right? We talked about that this afternoon in the parent communication workshop is you get one chance. If you think you have a kid in your class with ADHD, you get one chance to talk to the parents. If you start to talk about ADHD and you are not someone who can diagnose it, you've lost your chance and you could get in big trouble. So we're not diagnosing, right? We're not talking about a diagnosis because we're not allowed to. But in what I do, I talk a lot about temperaments. My temperament, every temperament has a diagnosis that could, not should or would, could go with it. My temperament owns ADHD. The really like, wow, a lot of movement. I start things and don't finish them right away and then start something else and don't finish that right away. And I talk out loud. And if you breathe, sneeze, or cough, I talk over you. I am really excitable and hyper and I look like ADHD. I get it. I know. Do I have it? No. It is my temperament. But when I work with people in my temperament or I work with people with kids who are diagnosed ADHD, what do? I know what toolbox to pull out because I use the tools in my toolbox. Just like the kids with autism. Doesn't matter if they have autism, I use the perfectionistic, really strong 15% of your people's skills is in success, right? I use that toolbox. So we're going to try to fill this toolbox with kids, whether they have it or don't have it. A lot of times kids have it. So it takes how long to talk to the parents about it? Forever, right? At least half a year to get the parents on board, especially someone who is not in the education field. They do not have, it is their only child. So they don't know what other kids look like and they don't have the information we have. So it takes a long time to get to that point with them. Then you go to a neuropsych. How many months is that appointment? 3-4 months?
3 or 4
right?
months.
And then if someone gets sick or has explosive diarrhea, there it is, Emily, we talked about it, then you can't go, right? So then you have to postpone it to something else. And then, yay, great, okay. So now they have a diagnosis of ADHD, and then now you're going to get a report. How long?
Like 5 pages.
5 pages of information you know. Lots of words. I'm like, I read them and I'm like, I don't even know what that means and I'm in the field. Very thirsty with my water. And then we get...
Meg?
Yeah? Oh, hi!
Hey. So we were diagnosed without a neuropsych report.
Yeah, you don't need to have it.
So
but you have to, how did you get diagnosed?
Our PCP just sent the school sent their reports to our PCP, and then he said that yes. So the school actually half diagnosed it and then sent it to our PCP and needed a letter.
And it's faster that way, I would think.
To get that code, yeah. So we didn't go to a neuropsych. We've never done that.
And then, so did you get a report or any sort of?
I got a diagnosis right away, like within a week.
And then then how did you get help from that diagnosis?
Well, I'm a certified special ed teacher, but just myself. I helped myself.
Yeah. Okay.
My own kid.
So you're right. So you have the information because you are in the field.
Right.
So if you're not in the field, I don't even know if people would even know to do that. And then they don't know what to do when you get a diagnosis, right? So it's like months to get a diagnosis. And then months to get the thing. And all the while, they are still coming to your classroom. And the harder ones usually aren't sick. They're never absent. No one goes on vacation ever, right? They're there first thing in the morning and you're like, ugh. So we need to have a toolbox for these kids because they're still coming. And you can't be like, well, we'll wait till we get help. And sometimes the help, if you don't do it yourself because you have the skills, sometimes the help isn't helpful. Mm-hmm. You know how many kids I work with ADHD and they're on like sticker charts? This is the wrong thing for those kids. I work with kids with ODD that are on sticker charts. I was like, you haven't heard the F word yet? That kid is going to tell you where to put your sticker chart, and it is not going to be nice in a nice place. My gosh, why would you put a defiant kid on a sticker chart? Oh my gosh. So sometimes it's not helpful, or they go and get help, or someone comes in to help half an hour a day, half an hour a week, an hour a week, and you're like, great. But we need to have tools for these kids in the classroom. And some of them can be easy, some of them can be harder, but we have to start filling our toolbox. I think a lot of parents with kids that have this hyperactivity, a hard time focusing, I think they're really seeing it now at homeschool learning because they're like, and you're like, what does that look like in a classroom? My son does not have squirrels like I have, but sometimes I'm like, what does he look like in a classroom? And I asked this teacher the other day, I was like, does he ask questions so you want to throw him in the woods? And she was like, no. And I thought, oh, thank goodness. Not for you, but for me. Mommy, 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 mama, mama, mommy. I'm like, I changed my name. What is it? Oh, I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you what my name is because then you're going to call me that. Not doing it. I'd say, oh. So this is my disclaimer. So nobody says, oh, well, Meg said we should diagnose, right? Stop it. I don't want to get myself in trouble. So first and foremost, this workshop is about how to help children and talk to parents when our toolbox is empty. I do not diagnose, do not, see the do not in big letters, ADD or ADHD. As a behavior consultant, I'm around many children who have a lack of focus, high distractibility, lots of energy, and a shorter attention span. All of those I possess, by the way. I want to help you fill your toolbox to help these children, and I leave the diagnosing up to the professionals who diagnose. No single test can diagnose ADHD. Assessment by a doctor or psychologist involves putting together lots of pieces of information to make a diagnosis, which is right sometimes from the school. I've been in some that the school has said, maybe we should look at ADHD as something to move forward with, which has happened in Katie's case. And they sort of were like, woo, and they threw their own red flags. That doesn't necessarily, I haven't been in a lot of cases where that happens. But partly it's because of Katie as a certified special ed teacher. So they probably approached you differently, Katie, than they would approach other parents, would be my guess. So here's some information. So 6.4 million are diagnosed between the ages of 4 to 17 as of 2011. What? That's so many kids. I think there's an overdiagnosis. So I get a lot of kids like me hanging out on the spectrum that aren't on the spectrum. Because people put me on the spectrum my whole life. I've been put on the spectrum. Actually most of my adult life, not necessarily my childhood. I asked my mom once, I said, Mom, people keep telling me I have ADHD. Did anybody ever talk to you about that? And you just like kept it quiet and didn't say anything because you didn't want me to feel bad about myself? She goes, no, Nobody ever said that. But I also think you have a lot more squirrels now than you did when you were a kid. Oh, I don't know if they grew bigger or mated or I don't know what happened, but I have more now. That's great.
Do you ever find that sensory processing gets confused with ADHD?
Yes.
Because that's where I'm at right now with my son who's 5. I think, in my opinion, and I'm in early childhood, that it sometimes it looks the same.
And sometimes autism gets confused with ADHD, which I thought, I was like, those aren't even the same thing. And then there's a brain thing with it and all the research, right? So sometimes ADHD, right, is sensory processing. Sometimes it's autism. Sometimes it's just me. So I get a lot of these kids on my like hanging out on the spectrum with me who don't need to be on the spectrum. We just decided not to. Right? In public school, you need to be on the spectrum to get additional help. Otherwise, what happens? It's not the law, and only some people want to do it and other people don't.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you have a kid with sensory processing, there needs to be an OT, but an OT can only step in if there's some sort of diagnosis, unless you are from the school. You could go to an OT. Otherwise,
Right.
It's probably out of pocket. So that's the way our school systems are set up, which is unfortunate. So if I was like I am now, when I was little, my mom would have had to fill out a sheet for sure. And if I fill out the sheet, I get it. I get however many yeses you need to have to win. I'm a winner. But I don't have it. But I could go somewhere and get help for it or medicine. Oh, maybe I should take some medicine for like one day and see what happens. Imagine I was on Zoom and I was like, "Hi, everybody. It's me, Meg." And I believe medicine is okay. I don't ever want people to go there first, though. Right? I'm trying to fill people's toolboxes without going to medicine first. So it's 11. That's 11% of children is the 6.4 million. Do you think the number has increased or decreased? Increased for sure. Do you remember the autism number? It used to be 1 in 10,000 kids are diagnosed with autism. Then it was now it's like 1 in 155. How did that happen? How did we go from 1 to 10,000 to 1 in 155? There's something happening. Some of it is that we just diagnose kids quickly to get them extra help. And I want them to get extra help. I just wish they didn't have to have a diagnosis. That I'm always vocal about, but it's hard to talk to anybody who would listen in my position. So ADHD is the most commonly diagnosed mental health problem of childhood. Current estimates suggest that 1 out of every 9 American children have ADHD. What? Whew. That's a lot. If you have 27 kids in your class, 3 of them. That's 3. Have you had 1 in your class? Ever? 3? Stop it. Oh boy. So 42% increase from 2003 to 2004 to 2011, 2012. 42% increase. Why the increase? We're going to talk about why some of that is. Boys
Do they ask what they're eating?
Yeah, right. That's one of the things.
Yeah.
Where we get to that part. So boys are 5 times more likely to be diagnosed than girls. Do we know that a boy's brain has a flush of testosterone in utero, and it makes their brain go in to pause, and it makes them more hyperactive? Like, there's research that proves that stuff. But, right, the boys I have are, I don't have any girl. Have I ever worked with a girl with ADHD? I can't think of one. I can think of about 100 boys. Girls are the ones I work with. The girls are anxiety and depression, and older. I rarely get a call for a young kid that's a girl. I'm so excited when I have a daughter, and I was like, "You do? I would love to work with her. That sounds amazing." Because someone asked me once, they go, "Do you work with just boys, or do you work with girls too?" And I was like, "I work with girls." They were like, "Oh." I was like, "I rarely get girls, little ones. I rarely get little girls. I get middle school, high school girls." Now Now I have some of that started as a girl and now are boys. That's a whole different anxiety, depression sort of thing. And I have a lot of questions to ask about that. And then I hope that, right, I'm like, I'm here to help you. Know that in my generation, now that makes me sound like I'm 80, in my generation, we didn't talk about this stuff. So I read it and I research, but I'm trying to figure out that you're a girl and you have anxiety and depression, but now you're a boy and not sure what to do. What causes ADD, ADHD? Brain injuries, genetics, hi, that's me, and environment. So we're gonna, right, fill this toolbox with some of this information. Whoa, who's that? Sounded like we were in a haunted house for a minute. I'm gonna mute people. So most common signs and core symptoms of ADD, ADHD. Inattention. Hi. That's why I have these. Do you know what would happen if I did not share my screen and I did not have these? Can you imagine? If you've been with me enough, you know it is not. Woo! That would not be awesome. It would be really scary, and I don't know. I think I talked this afternoon. I talked about I would start with parent communication. That's what I talked about this afternoon, and I would end up talking about cartwheels at Chuck E. Cheese. Like I just wouldn't be able to keep my attention. So difficulty concentrating, follow instructions, and staying on task. Yeah, I have that. If you're boring, I promise it looks like I have severe ADHD. You can't be boring. For a kid who has that looks like they may have ADHD and inattention is a thing, you can't be boring. Hi, everybody. Let's eat some snacks. We have carrots and dip. Why do you look? Stop. Right? We like novelty. We want new, exciting things. We want you to change the shelves and the games and wear a different outfit all the time, every day. We want you to talk different and look different and dance different. We want all this novel stuff, which is almost impossible to do all the time. But when you do none of it, we're done. How many people have been in workshops and they've been terrible, awful, and you want to poke your eyeballs out? Can you concentrate? No, say you have inattention. And you already have a hard time concentrating because you have squirrels that are in your brain. How do you, right? I have given myself permission as an adult to leave the workshop with explosive diarrhea. Emily, that's number 2. With explosive diarrhea. I can't. I know that I paid money. I know that I'm not going to get a sticker or a certificate, but I can't do it. And I don't know why those people keep doing workshops. I don't understand. I feel like I need to like put a sticker on them and be like, don't hire them for workshops. They sound like a robot. Impulsiveness, interrupting. Like I said, if you breathe, if we're talking, so say Emily and I are talking and she sniffs or sneezes or coughs or takes a drink or takes a deep breath, I scoop right in and talk. All the time. Better now as an adult. Terrible as a kid. I have a son who does it all the time. The minute Andy breathes, my poor husband has not completed a sentence in 7 years, almost 8 years, because we're always talking over him. And he's like, I just want to say one thing. And we're like, sorry. We're sorry. So talking over others and loss of emotional control. How many people have a loss of emotional control? I think everybody in the world right now has ADHD because we all have lost our emotional control. We're all a little bit like, ooh. But we do things fast and we do them big. That's who we are. It makes Zoom fun with me because I do things big, but it also, when you're using a fear-based strategy, I can't go big. I have to, right? Because I'll scare you or make you sad or upset you. So I have to, do you know how hard that is for me? That's so hard for me to do. So hard. Hyperactivity, so fidgeting and experiencing restlessness. How many people fidget? You know, I have these all the time. You'll see me like do this. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, what do you put up your nose in your Zoom workshops? Just my fidget, right? That has marbles in it. But I do it on purpose. I have brought these kids who can't sit at circle or have a hard time with boredom or inattention or impulsivity. I give these too. The thing is you can't miss the teaching piece. You can't just be like, here, because what are kids going to do? See if I can catch it. And then what happens? It hits kid off the head and the marble hurts them. And then you're like, this is my savior for, you'll often see me look like I'm vibrating, but it's because I can't help it. I have to have it there. And so I can't even imagine I'm 42 and I can try. So I can't imagine if you're 4 or 10 or 12 or 15. Like, I was in a meeting the other day, and this boy is diagnosed with ADHD. He is on medicine. His medicine was too low, and they had to up the medicine. And then his mom couldn't drop him off at school first, so he came to his IEP meeting, which was great, actually. But the poor kid, he was just sitting there. And I thought, that's not going to work out for him. So I'm in my backpack getting binder clips and paper clips, and he's just like peeling everything. His mom contacted me the other day. Do you have those fidgets? And now he's using fidgets in the Zoom call. He was, you know what he was doing before he was using the fidgets in the Zoom call? He's my favorite kid, by the way. Mooning the people on Zoom. Sorry, I was just jumping in my bed and my pants fell down. I don't know. Has anybody jumped on their bed and their pants fell down? No. So now his mom's like, he's using the fidget and no longer mooning people. And I was like, I'm a winner. I didn't know that that's what the fidgets. I should contact Parker Mountain Comfort Wraps and tell them, your comfort wraps, your fidgets are helping people not moon Google Hangouts and Zoom. Oh my goodness. What else could the behaviors tell us? What else could happen? Temperament. It is temperament. So if, I don't have my thing. So this is throwing things. Oh, cover up her name. This is the assessment that I do with kids. There's a teen one and there's an adult one. So we did this with this little girl. I knew she was going to come out like me because I saw her in action. And the one that could have ADHD is this, well, it's in black and white, but it's supposed to be red, that big tall one. Know that my big tall one over here, this red one for me, goes all the way to the top. It's at 100, it's as high as you can get. So it's temperament for me. It's not that I have it. It is that my eye tendencies, the part that looks like ADHD, is as high as you can get. And so I had the mom do one for her and the mom do one for the little girl. And what happened? The mom's having a hard time because they're opposites. So the mom's very calm, cool, and collected. She's very chill. And the little girl's like, Pah! The mom's like, do you think she has ADHD? I said, right, I don't diagnose. I bet she does have the temperament that lends itself to it. And I was right. She does have the temperament that lends itself to it. So, right, we have to fill her toolbox, and the mom has such a hard time because she also has the part that will push you, and the mom gives in often because it's just easier that way. And so the opposites are hard because when you need to draw the line in the sand and say, absolutely not, the mom has a hard time doing that because of her temperament. So it's kind of a temperament upheaval at their house right now, but we're figuring it out. We're filling their toolboxes. So nutrition, allergies to food and drink. So I think we get there. I don't know. I don't want to say it if we get there. I don't want to go ahead. Oh yeah, I do get there. So sensory integration dysfunction, right? Jen, didn't you say that? Sensory integration, it can be sensory integration. So before you start assuming and diagnosing, and I think that if it's not ADHD and it is sensory integration, that's different tools in your son's toolbox, I would think. I mean, right? You need a specialist for ADHD, but you also need a specialist for sensory integration. But the specialist is different, teaching different skills. So you got to make sure you got it right. Trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder. So kids with trauma go into, right? Oh, I can't find it probably right now. But the cycle I've shown before is that, right, they go into fight, flight, or freeze. Something happens. They don't know if it's a normal cue or a danger cue. Then they go into fight, flight, or freeze. They can't accept nurturance. And it goes all over again. So kids with trauma are in fight, flight, or freeze. Fight, flight, or freeze looks like hyperactivity. You're on your game. You're alert. You're to keep yourself safe, right? That look like ADHD? Yes. I've seen kids that I was like, oh, I bet that kid is on the spectrum, the ADHD spectrum. And then I hear the stories of the trauma in the background and I said, I take it back, maybe not. They can look the same. Reactive attachment disorder, that one's really hard. That one also does because you're in fight, flight, or freeze. Fetal alcohol syndrome. Visual or hearing disabilities, depression, thyroid problems, neglect, high lead, dietary deficits in potassium, iron, sodium, and calcium. Which I see a lot of calcium because people think, oh, you need calcium, you could drink milk. You know, it doesn't give you a lot of calcium? Milk. Lack of natural lighting, which we're going to talk about. Multiple intelligences. Are you a mover and a shaker? Most kids are a little bit visual and auditory. And then are you bodily kinesthetic? Do you need to move to learn? Are you whole body? Do you need to take notes? Do you need to be moving? Which is why, right, I have this, because moving and learning is connected in the brain. And if you take the movement out and sit still and pay attention, how many kids look like they may have ADHD? Lots. But it's not that they do, it is the teaching style that's affecting them. Right? I've seen kids that have to sit all day long and they can't do it. Kids that sit on the letter rug. Sit on the R, Robert. Sit on the R. You know what? He needs L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. He needs all the freaking alphabet. Putting him on R, he spent his whole circle time or morning meeting apologizing to the kids he kept whacking. Because he was like, sorry. And the kids are crying. They just stopped circle. Then he started to do it again and whacked another kid. And I was like, why does he have to be on our, that starts his name. I don't think he cares. I think you care. He doesn't. Learning style and modality. That again is bodily kinesthetic. Inadequate structure or instructional stimulation. That's a nice way to say you are flipping boring. Do you remember teachers in your education career that are boring? Oh my gosh. So boring. Chemistry teacher. Right? Do you know how I got out? You all know how I got out of chemistry. I cheated. Off the boy that thought I was cute. Geometry, I cheated off the actual teacher, actually. Yeah. Bam. Booyah. That's how I got out. I wouldn't have graduated because I don't understand geometry. I don't care. I don't care about chemistry. I don't care about any of that. I hear it and it all. Blah, 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 blah. So I had to cheat my way out. Anybody else? Oh, maybe you don't want to raise your hand. Anybody else cheat in something? I feel like if you didn't cheat ever and you got out of high school, I don't know how that happened. Nobody looked at another person's paper? Kyle, that's why I cheated off in astronomy. That's how I got out of astronomy too. All math and science classes. What's the funny thing? Behavior's what? Math and science. Tricked you all. I actually do know what I'm doing. I just look at it as relationships. So, temperament, let's talk about it. Does your child look a little bit like this? Enjoys movement. So we're trying in schools to get kids to stop, sit still, and pay attention. It's not physiologically possible. When you sit still, how many people go into pause and are just like, blah, right? So if you enjoy movement, awesome. You know how many books they make on moving and learning is connected in the brain? I don't know, 4 million. I'm not the only one who's read them, but when I go into schools, I'm like, why do we sit? Right? We need standing desks. We need yoga ball chairs. I found a yoga ball chair on the side of the road, and I was going to bring it into a girl who, I think she was diagnosed with ADHD. Everybody kept talking about it. And I said, I have a yoga ball chair, actually, that I found on the side of the road. I cleaned it. It's fine. Right? It wasn't even in this COVID stuff. It was way before. And I said, I was wondering if I could ask Gwen if she wanted it, because I think that it will really help her move and learn at the same time. And they said, no, that's going to make her stand out, and she's not going to like it. And so I didn't listen to them, right, because you know I'm feisty and sassy. So I asked her. She was 15. I feel like you're 15. You can decide if you want the yoga ball chair to stand out or not. First of all, she has my temperament. We are born to stand out. So if we have something different than everybody else, sign me up. Everybody else has a blue cup. Do you want a red one? Hell yeah, I want a red one. I don't want what everybody else has. And then I'm going to probably put sparkles and decals on it. just to stand out. So I said, Gwen, I have this yoga ball chair. So it's like a chair and it has a yoga ball in it. And when you sit in it, she goes, I'd love it. Is it in your car? Can we get it? And I didn't even finish the sentence. I didn't even ask her if she wanted it. I think she knew that's where I was going. And she decided she wanted it. I said, well, the teachers were concerned it would make you stand out and be different. And I just want to bring that up to you because she didn't care. She came in early to school to move the chair to where it needed to be. She stayed late at school to move the chair for where it needed to be the next morning. She loved that chair. She had me talk about it in her IEP meeting and put it in her IEP. She didn't want anybody else on it. And then they were like, so I think if it worked for her as a school district, I'd be like, we should probably get some more of these. I got this one for free, but they're expensive. They're like $200 maybe. But in a school district, I feel like you should get some of these. All the kids wanted. If she went to the bathroom, there was kids sitting on it. If she got up to sharpen her pencil, the kids were sitting on it. They wanted that chair. There were so many that enjoyed movement. How many people, some people have their cameras off because if I was not the trainer and I was like just watching, I would turn off my camera and I'd listen to you as I'd like do laps in my living room because I have a hard time sitting. I thought I hurt myself working out the other day. You know what I hurt myself doing? Sitting in a chair too long throughout the day. That's really sad. Do you know how many Zoom calls I've been on today? 5. Energetic. You know what? Energy is awesome. I've seen medicine affect energy so bad. I've seen like, wow, yeah, energetic, sometimes too much energy. And then they take medicine and what happens? They get really emotional and like, it's so sad to see really energetic dulled by that medicine. And I understand why people use medicine. Like I said, I'm okay with the medicine. I wouldn't ever go to it first, right? So my husband, I know the look he gives me when I'm too much. Libraries are hard for me. Can you imagine? I'm not awesome in libraries. I'm not awesome in where I have to like be where I'm excited. If I'm excited, stop it. I was in Boston one time and I had too much water and we were on a rooftop deck and my husband said, do you know who that is over there? And I looked over and I was like, no. And I immediately was like, oh my gosh, I should. Why? Well, who is it? He goes, okay, I'll give you a hint, number 12. And I was like, what? It was a girl. And I was like, the only number 12 I know is Tom Brady. And he said, that is Tom Brady's sister. And I was like, oh. So my energetic self, my head exploded. And then I was like, do not make an ass out of yourself. And I was like, my husband said, I have never seen you so quiet in your entire life. It's the only time in my life that I was like this. In my head, I was hysterical. I was like one-lining her. But out loud, I was so quiet. It's the only time that my energy has been able to like go down, and partly because I drank too much water. Right. Incredible capacity to play. These kids are really good at that. Really good at it. It is their strength. But when it is boring and when there's no movement, what does play look like? Distractibility? Sassiness? Feistiness? That's exactly what it looks like. And if you don't let me play, if I'm in 5th grade, I still want to play. I'm at 42, I'm still really good at playing with kids all day. If you gave me miniature things, if you gave me little dolls, I would sit all day and play with kids. Dramatic play, I would dress up all day long. I'm so good at it. But now you take the play away from me and what happens? I'm a little bit bonkers because I'm really good at that part. So finds entertainment in the boring, which makes everybody crazy because it looks, again, distractible. We're passionate. That is a pretty word that people call me. They call me passionate. It's really that I'm intense and I'm okay with it. But they say, oh no, honey, you're not intense. You're just passionate. Okay. That's just a pretty word, but I'm okay with it. Strong desire for more. So I never going to settle. There are some temperaments that are not going to set the world on fire. My mom and I had this conversation the other day. I have the temperament that will set the world on fire. I'm okay with it. I like it. I'm star of the show. I get it. But if I didn't figure out Zoom, if I didn't figure out how to do Zoom and Google Hangouts and all that stuff, first of all, my son would be struggling in school. But I wouldn't be able to make money for my family, and that's not an option. So I just dive in and go. While I'm doing all that, I'm also writing a children's book. I sell leggings on the side. I just finished writing 140 lessons for a social emotional curriculum. I have all of this stuff. And I've always had 1,000 jobs. Why? Because I have a strong desire for more. I want to keep going. I was on a podcast today. I did a podcast one time for myself, and I didn't have guests because that takes too much of my squirrels to figure that out. So I just did it myself, and I talked to myself for an hour, and it felt weird, so I stopped doing the podcast. Because I just talked to myself for an hour, and it was a weird thing. It was weird. I get my own needs met. So when I have a need, I go and get it, which means if I have a need for movement, which is a need, what do?
You do it.
I do it. I get up and move. What now say I'm 5 in a classroom and I have a assigned seat and it's not time for me to move. What does that look like? Not following the rules, right? And I get in trouble for it. And the thing I would get in trouble for most often in school was talking out of turn. I still get in trouble for it now, but
No way, Meg.
I know, right? Can you imagine
I don't
talking
believe
out of turn? I'd be clipped down all over the place. Hey, come clip down. You're talking too much. I'm like, I know. Well, I was like, you know what? Someone needs to be fun in this classroom, and it certainly is not you. So I have been class clown since day one. Appropriately so sometimes. I do have a funny sense of humor when it comes to poop, so I still think that's funny. And I can multitask. Well, we call it multitasking when we start something and don't finish it and then start something out and don't finish that. If you saw me clean my house, you would say, Meg, you should take the ADHD paper sheet. You should fill it out. Because I empty like the top part of my dishwasher and I put the laundry in the washing machine. I go and get myself coffee and then I unload the bottom part of the dishwasher and actually put the laundry soap in the washing machine, and then I vacuum the floor, and then I load just the top part of the dishwasher. And it's like, my husband's like, if we give you 3 hours, will you be done all your chores? Because if I stop you now, you've half done everything, right? It's never from beginning to end with me, ever. But if I don't have enough time and a schedule and a school, what does it look like? I'm doing some of it, right? So after this, I'm going to send everybody certificates. But in the middle of that, I promise you, by the time I start the email and add the certificate and send it to you, I promise you I've done 7 other things. And then sometimes I wake up in the morning and realize I didn't send you my certificates. Has anybody, Emily, you've gotten them the morning after? Yes? Know that I started the email the night before and I didn't send it. Every time. I think one time I had a headache. I did one workshop with a headache. You guys probably didn't know because I faked it well, but if you get them in the morning, it's because I started 10 other things. And then I was like, oh, it's time for bed. I wake up in the morning and go on my computer to get on Brennan's Zoom call. And I'm like, whew, yeah, there it is. There's the email I didn't send last night. Whoops. But what does that look like in school? That looks challenging in school because I've half done a worksheet. And then just forget. How many people have walked into the kitchen? You look around like this. What was I doing in here? And then at 3 in the morning, I wake up and I do what? Oh, damn. I was getting water because I have a cough. And that's what woke me up now. And I forgot the water. But it's like 10 hours later. Oh, my God. All the time. I do that all the time. Whoopsies. All right, natural light. Here we go. This part's really interesting. I did a lot of research on natural light. So it improves standardized test score if you were in a classroom with natural lighting. So 25% improvement when tests were taken in a naturally lit classroom. I can attest to this, not for standardized testing, but every time I go downstairs, my husband gets up really early, which I would never be able to do. And he doesn't open the shades downstairs. It is the first thing I do every single day. And I immediately open the shades and go, and the natural light makes me feel good. I already know. Right? Think about taking a test in your naturally lit room and then taking one in a closet. How would you do in a closet? Oh my gosh, I would be terrible. Improves mood, mental alertness, and vision. Well, we have mental alertness is hard for us by temperament and maybe by diagnosis. So what do? People like, what do we do? Well, first you should add some natural light. Turn off the fluorescent lights. Fluorescent lights are in the wrong color scheme and they increase our cortisol level. Cortisol is in charge of stress hormones. So it increases our stress hormone. So turn them off. And they're like, oh, we can't turn them off. Their eyes are going to be bad. Stop it. Open the shades. Have the desks near the window. Natural light. How many people are in a classroom with fluorescent lights and you turn them off? When I go into classrooms, I kind of turn them off on my way in if I've been into the classroom more than one time. They're like, what are you doing? And I was like, you don't need no, we need the light. No, that's an old wives' tale. If you don't, turn the lights on your eye, you're going to go blind. I don't know. Stop it. I don't think that's true. Natural light actually makes students significantly more focused and less distracted from their work, even though in the 1970s, architects were making smaller windows, hoping for the same outcome. So right, 1970s, they made smaller windows so kids wouldn't look out them and lose focus. The 1980s, that's when timeouts and sticker charts happened. You know what? If you're still in the 1970s and 1980s, please stock shelves at Target and don't teach children. More natural light, choose love. And that's the way we need to be going. If kids are distractible, what can we do? We can say, if a kid is having a hard time, being like, you know what, buddy? You know what I heard? I heard that if you go and sit closer to the natural light, you might be able to focus better. You want to try it? I mean, that's what the research says. You think you could be part of that research? How cool would that be? And put them closer to the natural light, but tell them why you're doing it, not go sit by the window, because that makes you feel like you're in trouble, and that's shaming, right? But can't you say, you know what, bud? I have a lot of books about natural light, and they said that it helps you focus. I don't know, let's see. And you know what, even if it's that one day, right? A lot of people are scared. There's no one strategy that works all the time. Not even the fast one. The fastest one is hitting kids. And that one works 90% of the time. And we can't do that. But how many people would put a kid closer and it would only work one day, but you got a lot of focus out of that kid for one day? Yeah, that's a strategy in love. Put him by the window. Oh my gosh, that's so easy. If I came in and told you that was my strategy. Talk to them about natural light and sit them over there. And let me know how it goes. How many people would try it? Right? We would all try it like, oh, that's an easy one. I don't have to fill out a sheet or check off things right? I don't have to do any of that. I could just use natural light. How many people feel better in natural light? Right? There's a reason when you get up and it's been raining it's like Groundhog's Day. We do the same thing every day and we have to stay inside and it's stinking rain. And when the rain goes away and the natural light comes out, how many people feel better? Right? Kids are going to feel better too. Higher energy level later in the day with natural light. More cost effective, right? Read faster in a naturally lit classroom. Well, sometimes kids that look like they may have ADHD don't read well. Why? Because they're inattentive and they're like this. And if it's boring, if you're making me read, I cannot read, and I know that these are important. Social stories make me bonkers because they're always all so boring. Those first like level 1 books make me so bonkers because they're all so boring. My children's book that is coming out soon, I hope, is very simple words, and it is like level 1, level 2, and pretty funny and exciting. And I'm like, oh, I can't. Anybody read the motorcycle is yellow, the motorcycle is red, the motorcycle is blue. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't. And then I have to sit there with my son as he reads it, and I was like, can you put like the poop word in there or something? Can we add some excitement? And can the motorcycle poop at some point? Because this is making me crazy. And I know why it happens. I understand the literacy and reading thing, but it makes me, my focus, I can't attend to it. Wait, someone chatted me. Hold on. Maybe I am in a back exterior classroom, but there are no windows. Who makes a classroom with no windows, Lisa? That's terrible. That's a bad design.
Tell
Right? And
me
then
about it.
I don't know what to tell you. That's just awful.
We
Yeah.
go outside a lot.
Yes, I was gonna say go. Yeah, move.
I'm in an
I go
interior.
to a charter school that there's no windows in any classroom because it's an interior. It's an office building, and all of it's interior, and they just have
Partitions.
Yes, thank you. Like wall dividers, partitions up. So
Oh.
there's no natural light anywhere in any classroom ever.
That's awful.
It's so awful. And then the kids are like this.
Yep.
And I was like, I get you. I got you. All right, here we go. Nutrition. Someone asked about nutrition. Nutrition does not cause ADHD, just so you know. But it can exacerbate the symptoms. So when there's a lot, so I hang out with all kids that are challenging. They have to be challenging to someone if I get called. And food is a good place to start. So Katie is my Juice Plus girl, and we have not, since Juice Plus, I can't even think if we have, right? So I believe in plant-based stuff, and I mean, it doesn't cure us from anything, but it also, right, doesn't, it is good for us to have that organic, right? If people like, so go organic, go clean, find vitamins that are plant-based. I think Juice Plus is pretty popular. Yeah, Katie? I mean, I hear it all the time. Katie will email me her information, and I feel like to look into it. So it's not a cure, but it's not, I know Katie has maintained her son's ADHD and her husband hasn't gotten sick. When all the flus and stuff go around, I'm going to knock on wood right now, it does not touch our family. Because I've made a conscious effort to make sure that the stuff we put in our body is good for us. So sometimes people are like, well, I can't do organic things. Okay, then get good vitamins or get good supplements or get things that are really good for you. So I swear by Juice Plus because we are not, when everybody is sick and out and everything, I just keep going because I don't, right? And now I eat them like candy because I don't want to get all the germs that everybody else has. So it's really good stuff. Red dye 40, stop it. I went to a house and the mom said, I think my kids only have ADHD at night. I was like, I don't know what that means, but that sounds awful. The nighttime is the worst if you're going to have it. If it's going to be impromptu ADHD, why would you have it at night? So I get there at bedtime, right? If your kid has trouble at bedtime, I go at bedtime. I don't go in the morning and you talk about bedtime. I go at the time that it's hard. I go in the morning, I go in the afternoon, whenever. And the kids were fine. They brushed their teeth, they got their jammies on, they took their bath, they did all that stuff. Not in that order, because that'd be weird. And then the mom called them downstairs. I don't know what they did, but when they came up, 20 minutes later, they were climbing on the walls. And I was like, what is happening? I said, when you called them downstairs, what did you do? She said, oh, I gave them their vitamins. What's their vitamin? Oh, yeah, we have Flintstones. That has red 40. The kids were allergic to red 40, meaning they had a reaction to red 40. It made them hyperactive. And I thought, whew. I thought, wow, whoa. And I was like, don't give them. First of all, Flintstones vitamins is like Centrum. If you have, I'm going to ruin somebody's day right now. If you take Centrum, like that you buy at Walgreens, know that it is shellacked, and you eat it and swallow it, and you know how it comes out? The same way it went in. You poop vitamins because none of it gets absorbed. 0% gets absorbed. That's most of the time in stores. So kids with, you'll know kids, if you think a kid might be reactive to dyes, give them an M&M. Because M&M has all the dyes in it, right? There's Red 40, there's Red Lake 40, which is just like all the things combined to make red, and it's all, if you heard read stories about M&Ms, you would never eat them. But I can eat them and I don't feel, well, I'm already bonkers, but I don't feel more bonkers. But we have to make sure that we're choosing food. The only time it would be worse if we go to clean, organic stuff like Juice Plus, if we go to that, the only reason it would be worse is if like you decided to introduce kale and your kid was allergic to kale, right? If there was an allergy, otherwise it helps the symptoms. Sugar, we know that sugar is more addicting than cocaine. Do we know that? Kids can be addicted to sugar. My son will eat a fruit and a vegetable every day in all of his Juice Plus business because he wants to have dessert at night. He's just like, sugar, I want chocolate. He asks at like 9 in the morning. Dude, Easter, we ate candy one time on Easter at 9 in the morning, and now we ask for it because it might be a holiday and you don't want to miss out the chance to ask. It's not a holiday, dude. It's Tuesday. You can't have a Kit Kat in the morning. Holy moly. And preservatives. Organic, clean food. There's not a lot of stuff you can throw in a lunchbox that is prepackaged that doesn't have a lot of preservatives. It just isn't a thing. And preservatives can be really, really detrimental to kids. Really, 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 really. All right, filling your toolbox. So here we go. Incorporate movement inside and outside. Teach children to find it independently, which means what? If I am sitting and I am doing my work and I need to take a walk, we are teaching kids, don't forget the teaching piece, we are teaching kids to use a fidget. Take a walk to get a drink of water. Water is calming. Walk to go to the bathroom and wash your hands. Come back. We have to let kids have power to do that, right? And people are like, well, when he walks and goes to the bathroom, he never comes back. Okay. Well, we can't just take it away from kids without trusting them that it's going to get better, right? We got to get little by little by little by little by little. You're not going to say, hey, when you're having a hard time learning, go take a walk and come back. And then they're like, oh, that was the magic button. I got the golden ticket. I'm going to Willy Wonka. That's not true. It's little by little by little by little. You teach kids to use fidgets as a tool, not a toy. You don't introduce fidgets and then be like, have fun. Peace out. I'm going to go drink my coffee culotta in the corner. We have to teach kids how to use it, right? The fidgets, if you buy fidgets, they come with, oh, I think I have the card. They come with the card to teach you how to use it and what sort of information you should say to kids. You know what, buddy? Moving and learning is connected in your brain. So when you find those marbles and you're moving them around, your brain is saying, oh, thank you. I can focus better now. You know that smell is the only sense filtered emotionally. All the other ones are filtered cognitively. Lavender is the most calming. This is lavender and spearmint scented. So when you're up here, lavender will calm you down. It is spearmint scented. So if you're down here, it will raise you up. It makes kids even keeled. It is how I focus in these meetings, because this is actually really hard for me. I know maybe it doesn't look that way, or maybe it does look that way. I don't know, but they are hard for me to get through all. Right, first of all, this is a 2-hour workshop. It could be a 4-hour workshop, but it's usually a 2-hour workshop. Now I'm trying to make it a 1-hour workshop and trying to get through it all, and I'm like, 4 minutes, and so I'm like, find the marble, find the marble, find the marble, find the marble, shake the fidget, smell the fidget. Smell the fidget. But we can't forget the teaching piece, and that's what a lot of people forget. And when you use the teaching piece, it's going to take time and patience, a long, long time, right? Because you're teaching a skill, and a skill takes a long time for kids to figure out and use. Limit choices. Too many choices, and they get 2 or 3 choices. Do you want macaroni and cheese or chicken nuggets or hot dogs? Do you want a hamburger? Do you want because I have an attention. So I'm like, oh, I don't know. And I'm going to guess probably the first thing you said or the last thing you said. And then I'm going to whine because I wanted the hot dog and that was the thing in the middle that I forgot about. Provide excitement, humor, interest, and avoid boredom and mundane. That one's hard because you have to adjust to the kids who need this when it doesn't come natural to you. Teachers like, you know what? It can't all be funny. Yep, but you got to be funny sometimes. Because if you're not funny, who's funny? Me. If I'm in a boring place, I'll crack jokes. I do one-liners. I'm sassy and feisty because I can't do it. And kids should be learning things they're interested in. They should. It should be project approach. It should be stuff that they love. How many people are like me, terrible at geometry? And you already knew before you went to geometry? How many people could have skipped it and still been as successful as you are today? Why did we take it? Why did we take well, maybe you need it for when you build a house. Yeah, I was never building a house. I can't even build a Lego tower. I was never going to build a house. So I didn't need it. I should have been like, and no. So what happens? I have to cheat my way out. Teach skills and meet needs. You know, I say that all the time, 98% of the time. Challenging behavior. ADHD-wise, not ADHD-wise, is a lack of skill or an unmet need. So as you reach in your toolbox, we're choosing love. Choosing love means at the end, there's a skill taught or a need met. And you have to give kids time and patience to learn that skill and meet that need. It's not as easy as, right? People want it to be, usually I get called in too late and people are already frustrated and they want me to change it right away. How can you fix this kid? We're not fixing him. We're not fixing. There's no fixing. All kids are born perfectly designed. I was born like this. Why do I have good self-esteem? Because my mom really, really, really enjoyed who I was. My dad really enjoyed who I was. And they told me that, go, kill it, do it. My mom comes over, she lives across the lawn. She's actually downstairs right now. And she's like, Meg, I'm so proud of you that people have tried to knock you down because of who you are. And you just won't let it happen. And I won't let it happen. Because I've taught myself the skills and I've had the needs met. Avoid long-winded explanations. Because what happens to us? You turn into the Charlie Brown teacher really fast. Wah, 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 wah. You're just Argyle socks and awful shoes. Expand the power of the pause. So impulsivity is we act first, think second. The power of the pause means we have to think first and act second, which means what sort of games do we play? Mother May I, red light, green light. Simon Says. You'll know the kids that have a hard time with that because you will say this. I do know it's 8 o'clock. Simon Says, put your hands on your head. And I do this. I always say Simon Says. And I put it on my shoulder. So all the kids do what?
Put it on your shoulder.
And I said, that's a weird spot for your head, guys. And they're like, oh, my head. The kids that keep going to what I am doing and not what I am saying are the kids that would be out. But these are the kids that would be out often. It extends their power of the pause. My power of the pause is this big. When I was 5, it was this big. 37 years, I got to this. My husband's power of the pause goes around my whole house 27 times. It's temperament for him. Temperament for me, I chop in my house a lot. Chop, let's go. Teach cause and effect. If you do that, buddy, do you know kids with ADHD or look like they have ADHD can't figure out the end result. They can't do it. If I do this, these things will happen. They can't get there. That's a lot of breaking it down for them. Teach social skills, emotions, and empathy. Don't use goals and rewards. And don't use timeout spanking. I don't know. Although I went to a house kind of the other day that did spanking. This I'm going to leave you with. I do know it's 8 o'clock. So there are symptoms. I'm going to read a symptom and then I'm going to read the gift. And I want you to start thinking it like this. So the symptom is impulsivity. The gift is lives fully in the moment. If we could put our brain in a different place, we get to work with these kids differently, for sure. Hyperactive. You know how many people tell me I'm hyperactive? I'm energetic. Daydreaming. Gets into a state of relaxation. How many people would like to be able to get in a state of relaxation right now? We're really good at it. Distractible. Attends to the unobserved in the world. If you're boring, I'm going to find out something that's exciting. I had a kid that used to figure out how the fly would land upside down on the ceiling and not fall off. He was supposed to be learning some sort of science, something. He was learning about the fly upside down on the ceiling. Forgetful, free from endless lists of things to do. Do you know what my list looks like? Here it is. I've gone to the gas station, I got gas. That's what my list looks like. Gas. But I've already gone and gotten it. So at the end of the day, how many things are crossed off? All of them. Because I don't put it on the list till after it's done. Pretty smart, right? Loses things. Unbound by material things. Some of these I think are funny. Talks too much. Passionate about ideas and interests. That is true for me. Repeats the same mistake. Not plagued with guilt for mistakes unless you are not teaching a skill and meeting a need with time and patience. That guilt can turn into shame really fast for these kids, so watch that. Right when we choose fear, it turns into shame fast. No self-awareness. We're free from self-consciousness. I'm doing some of them. Selfish. We get our own needs met. When we get our own needs met, we are called selfish. So see how we flip it? So when you have kids that are having a hard time, try to put your brain into teach a skill, meet a need. What sort of things do I need to put in their toolbox? What sort of things am I limiting? Am I limiting natural light? Am I limiting the food choices? Am I limiting movement? Am I exacerbating it with food? We have to start thinking about these things differently so kids can be able to get to a different space with what might be ADHD. A lot of kids I've been called in for ADHD. The first primary skills have been really easy to teach and really powerful. But you have a lot of people that if we don't know what to do with kids as a human, as an adult, we dig our heels in and we take all the power and we hoard it. I promise you a kid with ADHD does not want you to hoard the power. They will fight for it. They'll get their own needs met, they will speak up, and they will find funny. So we have to make sure that we are sharing the power with them. We're using language like, you know what, bud, natural light is good for you. You know what, bud, these vitamins, my son's like, Mommy, why do we take these vitamins? Bud, have you been out sick from school yet? No, I said, that's because of these vitamins. Because we need this stuff in our body. We have to eat what we need before we eat what we want. My husband's probably cheering downstairs if he can hear me. Because I was a terrible eater. Well, and I got migraines. I still get them, but now it's hormonal. But I used to get them from lack of protein. So we have to do these things, and we don't need to diagnose a kid for this. We don't need to, right? These are just things that now we need to think about and at least put them in a kid's toolbox. Use them. Are we good? You can put an hour and 5 minutes on your certificate. And I will give you a certificate. Katie, can I give them your email in case they're interested in Juice Plus stuff?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm happy to share information.
Okay, awesome. And even if you just look at it to see what other things you can do, I swear by it because it is helps my family for sure. And you know, you can always find me with questions. If you have interest in fidgets, you let me know. I always say I wish that Zoom was scratch and sniff so you can smell them. But then I'm not so sure how many people showered, so maybe we don't want it to be scratch and sniff. I did. I showered. Look at my hair so long it's in a ponytail now. I bet none of you have seen me in a ponytail.
No.
No. If it was dry, it would not fit in a ponytail. Yes. So what am I doing? What day is it right now? I don't even know what day it is.
Today's Tuesday.
It's only Tuesday? Oh, Michelle, thanks for the bummer.
I know.
So, so Thursday I'm doing Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is a lot about teaching skills and meeting needs and choosing love. If you're interested in that, that one is on Thursday. Next week I'm doing, are you ready for this, kids? I am doing mindfulness. Dawn is actually doing it, but I'm doing it with him. If you know me at all, you know that I'm terrible at I'm good at the strength part of yoga, terrible at the mind part of yoga. At mindfulness, I'm doing it with him because I am really trying to branch out and figure this stuff out. I usually say, no, I'm not doing it. So Dawn is doing it, but I am going to be there so you get training hours, and I'm going to, I don't know, give some information. Someone asked me to do, what do we do when we go back to school? What's that going to look like for kids in a home environment? What's it going to look like in a school environment? We're going to process that. I'm doing project approach with the book that my son uses for school. He goes to a project-based school that is amazing. And professionalism. Do you know how many leggings I've seen inside of?
Mhm.
Yep. Yep, because they wear leggings and now it's cool not to put them over your bum, but then when you bend down and pick up a baby, I can see inside and I don't want to. Katie, that's the appropriate face you should have. Like, I've seen in so many leggings.
Mhm.
And sometimes there's no underwear. Okay. Everybody throw up in their mouth. Katie, you're funny. So, anybody have anything further? I think we did it. You could put an hour and 10 minutes. In case every minute counts for you. Some people every minute counts because we're trying to collect hours. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys know it's my self-care, and I so thank you for being here. It's weird to talk to myself for an hour.
Thank you.
Love you all. See you next. Oh, Thursday. Not next week.
Thursday.
Thank
Darn it, it's
you.
only Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.